Good afternoon and welcome to the Planning Committee here on the 9th of February. My name is Councillor Gary Marsh. I'm the Chairman of the committee. To my left is my Vice Chairman, Councillor Philip Coote. To my right is Stephen King, who's the Senior Development Control Manager here today. Team leader, sorry. To his right is Paula, who's our solicitor. To her right is Catherine, who's got the first item on the agenda. In the far corners are our Democratic Services officers and all the members of the committee are in front of us. Thank you. So before we start, can I ask the Vice Chairman to read out the fire safety announcement, please?
Voilà. Good afternoon, everybody. A building fire alarm signal is a continuous two-tone alarm. On hearing the evacuation alarm, leave the building by the nearest marked exit route. Follow the green signs to the assembly point, large staff car park opposite the entrance to the building. Anyone who cannot use the stairs will be helped by the officers present after the people have left. Do not return to the building until told it's safe to do so by an authorised officer. The whole of the council site is a no smoking area and mobile phones must be either switched off or to silent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. So we're going to go straight to the agenda. And item 1 on the agenda is receive apologies for absence. I do have 3 councillors who can't make it here today. Councillor Cartwright, Councillor Pulford and Councillor Hussain. Item 2 on the agenda is receive declarations of interest from any member in respect of any matter on the agenda. No. Item 3 is to confirm the minutes of the committee we held on the 12th of January. Can I ask members to vote on the normal way? Green if you agree with the minutes, yellow if you abstain, and red if you don't agree. Yep. Okay, I've got a full house and everybody's agreed with it. So with your permission, I will sign the minutes as a true record. Thank you. Item 4 even is to consider any items that I consider as urgent business. I have none. So we go to the main reason we're here today. And item 5 is the DM 22-264 to the Spinney, Burgess Hill, West Sussex. And this is Catherine. This is your one, please.
The application is for a new access drop curb and driveway off Leylands Road to the front of the property to the Spinney, Burgess Hill. The application indicated with a cursor here is located off the northern side of Leylands Road and consists of a 2-storey semi-detached property. The wider area and the properties to the southern side of Leylands Road are of varying character and form, with off-street parking and low boundary treatment, which gives public views of the off-street parking to the front of the properties. Properties of the Spinney, however, are of 2-storey terrace and semi-detached properties, all of the same design, which are located around an area of open space and verge, which is all owned by Mid Sussex District Council, which is the reason the application has come here. All the land owned by the council is highlighted in pink. Most of the properties are accessed by public footpath that outlines the front gardens of the properties and makes a distinction between the curtilages and the open land. The property is located at east of this land, and as existing, there is a 2-metre closed boarded fencing on either side of the front garden, which gives a visual division between the open space and the front of the property. The area along to the front verge, however, is open with wire fencing. The attached neighbour, number 1, the Spinney, has mature hedging along the front as well, which contributes to obscuring the front garden from movements along Leylands Road from the east. This is just the outline of the proposal. The hashed area for the driveway itself will be constructed in porous block paving with an area of soft landscaping still left directly to the front of the property. The access over the verge owned by the council and access onto the highway constructed in tarmac. The circles here indicating the 2 existing trees on the verge which would be retained. Highways have been consulted on the application and raised no objection on highway safety grounds, and following the submission of an additional amended tree protection plan, the council's tree officer also raises no objection, subject to a condition to ensure that the tree protection measures during the works are carried out to protect the trees. The top left-hand photo is taken from across the spinney, showing the existing closed boundary fencing, showing that you cannot see existing front garden. The right-hand photo is taken from the southern side of Leylands Road towards the property. You're just about to see the wire fencing and then the other closed boundary fencing between itself and number 1, the spinney, and the 2 existing trees. So the driveway would come just in between the 2 existing. And the bottom photo is just taken further along Leylands Road, closer to the small roundabout, showing the existing hedging across the front of number 1, the spinney, and then the fencing beyond, which divides the property from the open space of the spinney. The proposal is considered to be in keeping with the established character of Leylands Road and would not detract from the open character of the open space of the spinney, and is considered acceptable in terms of highway safety and trees and would not cause harm to the amenities of neighbouring properties. Officers consider that the proposal is in accordance with the development plan and is recommended for approval. Thank you, Chairman.
As the officers just suggested, the only reason is here because it crosses our land. Do members wish to debate it, or should we go straight to the... So can I ask for a proposer? Councillor Sweatman and Councillor Coote. Oh, hang on a second. I better ask somebody from Burgess Hill, it's only fair. Councillor Eggleston, do you wish to second it?
Yes, Chairman. Me? I'm happy to second.
Okay. So Councillor Sweatman to propose, Councillor Eggleston to second it. Can we go to the voter screen, please? Thank you. Thank you. That is a full house of 9, so that is been approved. Thank you, Catherine. All right. Item 6 on the agenda is for refusal. It's pages 21, and it is DM 213898, 3 to 15, the Broadway, Haywards Heath. That's just, as we all know, it's just a square roundabout or one-way system. And this is Mr. King's. We've got no public speakers, so Mr. King, it's all yours.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Just before I go through the application, just draw members' attention to the update sheet. You'll see that we've had additional comments from the Council's tree officer on the revised proposals and landscaping plans. So they're set out in the update sheet. And following on from those revised comments, I've added a further section to the report regarding trees, which again you can read on the update sheet, and that has resulted in, and that results in a further reason for refusal recommended relating to trees. So those are the updates, Chairman.
Thank you.
So to go through the planning application, the application seeks planning permission for the demolition of all of the existing buildings within the site and their replacement with a new building to provide 37 units of retirement living accommodation and commercial floor space on the ground floor facing onto the Broadway. So this is the application site here, outlined in red. It's 3 to 15 Broadway, within the town centre of Haywards Heath, and it's also part of the secondary shopping frontage along the frontage here. The existing buildings along the front, there's a parade of Victorian properties. The rear of the site is a mixture, quite a bit of hard standing, number of outbuildings within the site. Existing vehicular access point is down here in the southwestern corner, and the site is within it's bounded by the one-way system, so it's a one-way gyratory around the application site. To the north, there's quite a sharp drop in levels down to Mustard Green North, and then on the opposite side of the road is a tree-lined bank, and then you've got the London to Brighton railway line and a very steep cutting beyond. Further along the Broadway, it's a mixture of commercial properties, number of restaurants, bars, etc. On the opposite side of the house, you've got a 4-storey building here, again commercial on the ground floor, offices above. On the corner, there is a new building that's currently being constructed. Will be 5 stories in height, again commercial on the ground floor with residential above, so that's well underway. Opposite the site, to the south, again commercial buildings on the ground floor with offices above. It's a 3-storey building. Western boundary is marked by trees, and beyond that is a council car park. The western boundary also marks the boundary of the conservation area, as shown in this plan. So this is the application site here, and the hatched area is the Mustard Green conservation area, so it washes over the car park and runs along the western boundary of the site. In terms of the application itself, the full details of that are set out on page 30 of the report, but it's, as I say, full planning permission for the demolition of all of the buildings on the site, and replacement with a single building in this footprint here, broadly T-shaped footprint, to provide 37 units of retirement accommodation for McCarthy and Stone, with commercial floor space on the ground floor facing onto the Broadway. Vehicular access would be from the existing location down here in the southwestern corner of the site, and that would lead to a car park with 28 car parking spaces. Be a pedestrian access point available here at the southern end of the building, next to the Star Public House. The Star is outside of the planning application site. There'd also be a pedestrian access here, and you'd go up steps to get up here, as the road is at quite a lower level than the application site. In terms of the floor plan, that's the proposed upper ground floor plan. So commercial units on the frontage facing the Broadway, and then to the rear, on the ground floor, some communal facilities, the lounge, diner, reception area, bin store, scooter store, and then residential accommodation off a central corridor. First floor plan, it's all residential accommodation accessed off the corridor. Number of balconies for the properties. And finally, the final floor, the third floor, is slightly set back, as we'll see from the elevations, but the same sort of layout, central corridor, residential accommodation located off that. In terms of the elevations, this is the northern elevation from Mustard Green North, so you can see ground level is lower than the application site, so that's the pedestrian stairs I referred to on the northern side, and that's the proposed building, so brick, and then cladding for the upper floor setback. This is the eastern elevation onto the Broadway, so you've got the commercial units on the ground floor, the residential above, again the upper floor setback, and then it's stepping right down to turning the corner on the northeast side of the building. Proposed southern elevation to Mustard Green South, and then the western elevation to the council car park. Just some 3D images just to give a better flavour of the application. So that's looking at it from the Broadway. So that's commercial on the ground floor with the residential above. And that's looking from Mustard Green north across to the Broadway. So again, the site at a lower, or the road at a lower level than the site, the building at the higher level, the steps up to it. And just some photos of the rear of the site taken over different times during the life of the application. So these are various photos of the rear of the site, so you can see a lot of hard standing, the existing outbuildings at the back of the site on the western boundary. Various views from the site from the Broadway, so that's as it is at the moment, the terrace with the shops below, Star Public House on the corner, which is outside the application site. Other views from the Broadway at Mustard Green, so this is the new development that's being built on the corner, you can see well underway. Views from Mustard Green South, so that's the entrance into the council car park, so that's the boundary of the site, and that's the existing access into the site. That's a view from within the site looking out, so they're the buildings opposite on the western side. That's looking back up to the site. Views from the south, looking into the site, so you can see it at the higher level, and again much higher level, the application site. So these are the buildings that would be demolished. And then finally just some wider views from across the Mustard Green conservation area. So the application site behind the trees here and behind the council car park. So if I just go back to the layout, just to go through the issues briefly. In terms of the principle of the development, that's dealt with on page 34 of the committee report. There's no objection in officers' view to the principle of this type of development in the town centre. There's a clear need for this type of accommodation for the elderly, which is supported by national policy and the development plan. And there's nothing in either national policy or the development plan that precludes this type of accommodation in town centre locations. So as a matter of principle, we think that's acceptable. Likewise, the commercial uses on the ground floor, again, as a matter of principle, that's clearly acceptable as this is a town centre location. Key issue on this application is the design of the scheme. That's dealt with on page 38 of the report, and as members will be aware, good designs sought by national policy and under own policies. The existing buildings on the frontage do contribute to the character of the area, and so in order to justify their loss, it's your officer's view that the scheme really does have to be of a high quality. And you'll see in the report that the urban designer and the design review panel were critical of the scheme and have a number of concerns about it. And your officers, for the reasons set out in the report, agree with those concerns. I think we've got a concern that the building is too bland and would appear too monolithic from the Broadway, and isn't the high quality design that is sought by the relevant policies. The pedestrian access isn't ideal, as we've said in the report. That's on page 42. It'd be quite narrow access point from the Broadway here. Obviously not ideal to access through the car park, as there's no segregation there. So concerns about the design overall. In relation to heritage assets, that's linked in with the design. That's dealt with on page 43. I've said that the boundary with the conservation area is along here, so the site is in the setting of that conservation area. And it's your officer's view that the Star is a non-designated heritage asset, and there would be some adverse impact from the design of this development on the setting of the conservation area and that non-designated heritage asset. And as set out in the report, where you do have some harm, if it's less than substantial as defined in the MPPF, that needs to be balanced against the public benefits of the scheme. Clearly there are benefits of providing this type of accommodation, employment benefits during the lifetime, the development and construction and so on. But I think because of the design concerns we've identified, your officers have the view that those public benefits don't outweigh the harms in this instance. In terms of impacts on future occupiers, that's dealt with on pages 40, 47 onwards from the report. I won't go through that in too much detail. Just to say in summary in relation to noise in particular, the Environmental Health Officer looked very carefully at the application and the impacts of the development on the Star Public House for their future business, and also the impacts on future residents from the Star. But for all the reasons set out in the report, we're satisfied that isn't a reason to resist the application. Transport matters are dealt with on page 52 of the committee report. The Highway Authority is satisfied with the access, that would be a safe access. They're satisfied with the level of car parking provision. In relation to the bins and servicing, the bin store is located here, so it can be serviced from the highway, and your refuse contracts manager has no objection to the refuse and servicing arrangements for the site. The other main issues are all set out in the committee report. The scheme would require a contribution for affordable housing and infrastructure payments, but because there isn't a legal agreement in place, that is also a further reason for refusal. Clearly that could be addressed with the completion of a legal agreement to provide those. So overall, in terms of the planning balance, we think the principle of the development is acceptable. There is a need for this type of accommodation, and there'd be clear economic benefits from the proposal. Our main concerns relate to the design of the scheme and the poor quality of the design, and also, as highlighted in the update sheet, there are concerns in relation to the trees on the site. So I think the tree officers and officers are concerned about the potential impact on trees on this western boundary. You've got the car parking immediately adjacent to that. Concerns about the removal of the boundary trees along here, and that the replacement planting isn't really sufficient in our view to appropriately soften the development. So that is a further concern about the application. So for the reasons highlighted in the committee report and on the update sheet, we feel that the application can't be supported, Chairman.
Thank you, Stephen. We've got nobody who's public speakers, so do members wish to debate? Nope.
Move to
Move to refuse.
refuse on the officer's comments.
And also in the update sheet, the third reason is by the tree officer. It's on the back page and it's contrary to DP 37. So, I would propose, can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Phillips? And can you now go to the vote, please?
Very poorly done.
Yeah. Right, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. That has been refused with the additional reason in the update sheet. Thank you very much. And item 7 is questions pursuant to Council Procedure Rule 10.2, which you notice has been given. Now, before I do close the meeting, members will be aware we had an appeal decision that this committee dealt with, and that's Poop Barn, where we refused the application because he knocked down the complete barn and rebuilt it. We weren't criticised in the officers, the planning inspector's report. I've read it twice. He just decided that there was no harm to the setting of the countryside as much as we thought there would be because of it. So, well done. We got that one right for refusing it, and we weren't criticised about it as well. Even though they decided to give him planning permission in the end, but never mind. Right, so I'm going to close the meeting now at 4:27, and thank you for your attendance for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you remain in seat while we kill off the